Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
But
Maurice,
shalom.
thank you for that message. There's a lot of information in it, and it's sometimes difficult to draw everything together, but you did in the end. And, I love the formula for teshuvah. Unfortunately, sadly, we are taught that somebody else is going to pay for our sins, but there is no one else who can pay for our sins because the Torah says we are the ones, the only ones who can pay for our sins. And the formula, you have to you have to acknowledge it, confess it to God, confess it to the person you heard, make restitution by adding a little bit extra to make compensation for their the stress that we put them through. If we did that, boy, what a different world it would be. Excellent message. Thank you. And did you take engineering or science or physics to know that whole thing about delta?
Yeah, at the school.
Wow. And you remember. Very proud of you.
Yeah, I remember because I was, dealing with those subjects at the school, so I remembering them.
Do you need them today in your work?
Not really. What I do is explain to my kids because they are learning that too. So, uh, so that's, for example, to explain them why you need to, for example, to turn on your car. When you turn on your car, you need to wait at least 4 minutes until the degree of the car, the heat of the car is normal. Because if not, then all the fluids don't go to the motor and your motor will endures less.
Oh,
Okay.
that's good to know.
For example, and and, and, and that is Bernoulli's. Okay. You need that all the fluids go through all the car, for example, to go to the motor, to go to the brakes.
You look at the meter and you go into
Sorry.
green.
Yeah. Hmm?
You look at that meter thing on your thing and you go into green.
That's
Green?
the older cars, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I thought it was only in the older cars, but it's not.
Yeah. No, it's in all the cars. I mean, because when it's cold and you start to go and start the going your way, the problem is that the motor doesn't have enough oil.
Oh, right.
So you need that the oil that is, I would say frozen, because in Canada obviously they are frozen,
Yeah.
but you need to that is liquid to the motor. If not, will endure less uh,
Right.
the motor.
Right.
You reduce the life of the motor.
Mhm.
So, but the point is, there are so many things, and this is something that I'm against, the education programs around the whole world. They teach you, for example, the formulas, but they don't teach you how to apply it in
Exactly. I
real.
used to think that in school. What am I ever going to use this for? Nobody's told us anything.
Yeah. So and to make some things that you can see, you can learn, and this is something that the Torah really teach us, that you need to teach your kids by doing.
Right.
Okay. First you do, then you understand what is the principle that is behind
Right.
of what you did.
That's why so
Okay.
many children in religious homes turn away from the religion because they see the hypocrisy. It's not
Yeah.
enough to speak words to our children. We need to be a living example of them.
Yes. And also, I can remember that in this portion really talks about monetary compensation, right? But really, it's important that we do not only add the 20% to the monetary problems, okay? Because, for example, um, I've been thinking about if we have a problem with another person, we shout them, we really hurt that person, okay? Then you can come and apologize. But how can you add, for example, this 20% more, okay, to that person,
Buy them a
okay? Yeah, it's not enough. The principle is the very same, right? Okay, hey, apologize me because I lost my mind and I said things that I
I'm
should
sorry.
not have to tell you. Okay, I'm sorry. That's okay. And it's the very same thing, for example, with Lashon Hara. We start to gossip about someone, okay? And then we destroy that person. It's not enough to come and say, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. No, we need to make a compensation. For example, if I made a Lashon Hara, probably you need to go to those persons who heard, okay, and and said, I apologize to this person because I made a mistake by doing this. That is the 20%. Okay. So the principle is not enough sometimes to say I'm sorry. Okay. Is that you need to make another action. Okay. That is something. In honestly, I then there is something very nice about the Nasir. And probably, you know, this is something that probably God put because he is not a God that that only the high priest can approach to me.
Right.
Okay. No, he wants that everyone can approach to him.
Right.
Okay. And then it's also like to say at the persons, I am a very good God that doesn't give only the honor to one person in the whole congregation. Okay,
Right.
anyone can do.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone can be. So, and this is so nice when you compare the votes of the Nazirs and the vows of the high priest.
The what?
Okay,
Vows?
the vows, yeah,
Oh,
the vows. So first, the both of them cannot be close to a death. Okay, because to the high priest, God said, even your close relatives, you cannot bury them.
right.
Okay, and here is the very same idea. Then you have another um, there is another vow, which is the hair. You cannot cut your hair. And in the word Nasir is very close to Neser. Okay, so uh, in this is the Keter that has it says holy to God, and as well as the Nasir is holy to God. Okay,
Right.
so in all this comes to my mind because remember Korach, mm, he could never have the right to say, only I am enough of you, Moses, I am enough of you, Aaron, because only you want to be the main principal person in the congregation, because he could be a Nasir.
That's
So
true.
if he wanted,
Right.
so
But that
so
was
he
only for a short time, and he wanted it full
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And
So that
he was
is
power
something.
hungry. He didn't care about serving God.
Yeah, he wasn't. His heart was not good.
Yeah.
Okay, his intentions were not good.
Right.
So that is why Korach, since the beginning, he was showing that his intentions were not to serve God, was to serve himself.
Which was he from a Kahat? Who was he?
He was Koahite, yeah, from Kehat.
So he
Yes,
wouldn't have had, he's probably wealthy. He wouldn't have had a cart. He would have to carry.
yes,
Yeah, he wouldn't want that.
yes. And so that is something that's why probably Moses told to him, it's not enough to you to have this position, okay? If you look how many in the whole tribes, there were more or less like 36, 30, more or less Kehatites. So in Kohathites, in the whole congregation were 636 more or less. Okay, so it's a minimum part
Right.
of the congregation, and then the persons who were serving the God were only like 30%, 33% more or less. So 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 he was very in a high position, but he never uh, looked at that.
No.
He wanted the position. He wanted to be the the main actor.
Yes.
Okay, so um, in and then start this portion with the haftarah, because well, at the beginning I wanted to connect the haftarah also to this portion, and it's interesting because you can see, for example, in the portion that the woman was lonely at the field. Okay, Manoah's woman. Okay,
Alone in the field. Yes.
okay. Manoah's means to dwell, to rest, to that probably was not really the name of his father. It was like telling us the characteristic of that man. Okay,
Like Noah.
he was a lazy person.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so the woman was working and the man was at home both times. Okay, so and he didn't know the Torah.
No.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very clear.
Yeah.
So you have this man who is lazy, the woman is working, and then Manoah feel the very same feel of jealousy. Okay, so you connect that with the sotah.
Right.
Why? Because the woman came to Manoah and told, oh, there is a man who appeared to me.
Yeah.
Probably Manoah didn't know if the wife was barren or he was the one who cannot have the kids. Okay. So he felt like this jealousy. So he didn't go to the priest. He asked to God. Okay. And God heard Manoah's. But he didn't want that this man or this angel or this ambassador will come to him, but to her. Because again, the woman went again to work, okay, to get some food for the family, okay.
She was
Manoah was at home
she was
again.
Ruth?
Sorry?
Think she was gleaning like Ruth? No.
I'm not sure if she was gleaning at Ruth,
Yeah.
okay, but it only said that she was at field.
Field,
And
right.
and then uh, comes the angel appeared to her, and she was running to take his spouse with her, and that he could see the man. Okay, I am not unfaithful to you.
Right.
Okay, and then he started to ask. We read that like, he's asking, uh, like, someone who is interested to have a conversation, but he was really jealous. So he
Wow.
was starting like complaining with that man. Okay, like, oh, that's true. You are the man who is from God. Oh, I see. You are very beautiful. Yeah, you know. Okay.
What's your name?
And what's your name? Okay. So that is how he wanted to talk. Okay.
Interesting.
And then he looked at the man and he realized really when he saw them that by the fog, he raised up to the heaven, it says. Okay. So he recognized and said, oh, we look at the God. And then you realize more that he was not a Sadiq. He was not a person who feared really God, because if not, he will know that you cannot see God. The angel could be a prophet, could be a man, could be an spiritual, or it was a vision. I don't know. But the point is, if you see God, then you are dead. Okay.
Right.
So he couldn't. Okay, but he said, oh, and that is a problem because with Christianity, because they said, oh, they look at Jesus Christ in is this portion. Okay,
Wow.
and like, because Jesus Christ is God, so he saw God.
Oh, right.
Okay, so that is, and it's a problem because people start to say, oh, he said, I look at God. No, he didn't look at God, because he didn't know. He was not a Sadiq. He
Right.
didn't know the scriptures. So he imagined it was like an expression. It's like when a car is close to hit you, and just for 1 millimeter you were not hit, and you say, oh, I almost see God. Okay,
Yeah.
that is the
Right.
so but he comes to announce. And remember what happened with the Tzotah. What it says, the high priest will say, if the woman is not guilty, then she will conceive kid.
Yeah.
And what happened to her? She conceived a Shimshon.
Right.
Okay, so God blessed her with to be fruitful,
Right.
so she was not guilty.
Right.
And then also connect with the other, with the vow of the to be Nasir. Okay, who made the vow? It was her mother. Okay, his mother.
Not Samson.
Yeah, and Shimshon, honestly, poor of him, because you can see the difference of Nasir when he's raised up under Torah and without Torah.
Right. Right.
Why? Because we can see Ishmael, we can see Shimshon.
Right.
Both were Nasir, okay? But only was the difference was one had Torah and the other did not have Torah,
Amazing.
okay? So you can see the fruits later.
Right.
And then, yeah, there are so many questions I have about that. Yesterday we were discussing about it because, you know, I was asking to myself, and there is a one answer, but I'm not satisfied with that answer. Okay, okay, because it says that is voluntary.
Right.
This vow of Nasir,
Right.
but in the case of Shmuel, in the case of Shimshon, it was not voluntary.
No, it was imposed on them.
It's imposed on them. Second, they were for the whole life.
Right. So
Okay.
he's not really Nazir, they're Kohen.
Yeah, they
Levi.
because the whole life were uh in the third one, it says that you don't have to be close to dead person or to dead animals to whatever. And Shimshon kill animals,
Right.
Shimshon kill persons,
Right.
as well as Shmuel. Shmuel killed persons.
Right.
And you know, he offered sacrifices to God
Right.
when he couldn't sacrifice.
Right. Interesting. That's true.
Okay.
Wow.
Because so the you know, and so then I can see that even in the Torah, God make some exemptions. Yeah, that could be that we our souls are in the in the heaven of souls, I would say, to put it easy, okay? And then the Shimshon soul and Shmuel's soul asked to God, I want to be Nasir. And he said to them, okay, guys, you could be Nasir. So it was voluntary. That is the answer. But, you know, I'm not sure about it. It's not satisfying me,
No,
honestly. So I need to search more. But uh, but it's interesting that God allows to them to because they have a purpose, okay? And sometimes probably the purpose of a person is over the rules, okay? Because what what's the purpose to be Nasir for them? Okay, both
or
were
or
judges.
just the two people, just talking about Samson and
Just these two persons, okay,
yeah,
not common people, okay,
no,
but these special souls, Shimshon and Ishmael, God had a purpose of nation for them.
right.
Shimshon
To
to
fill
free Israel
from the
from
Philistines.
Philistines,
Yeah,
okay, because the purpose was beyond, and he was a judge for his time. Ishmael is the very same idea.
right,
Okay, he was guiding Israel
right,
over all these years, and probably he made more more work done than the high priest at his time, because we read, for example, Eli. People knew Eli, but to whom people really trust, to Eli or to Shmuel?
well, because they saw Eli's
Shmuel.
sons, they saw the results of his sons were terrible.
Yeah. So probably this is my opinion. Okay, Mauricio Quintero, is that God sometimes when there is a purpose greater, He allows that these rules can be um, can be focus on your purpose.
Right,
Okay. Yes, there is this rule, this rule,
right,
but to them is more important to fulfill his role.
right,
Okay.
right,
So, for example, even Moses supposedly could not offer sacrifices, but he had to teach Aaron.
right, right. He was a Levite, it's true. Right,
So, so that's something that come to my mind, and also there is something interesting in this portion. This Tuesday we were discussing, and it's about the name Shimshon. Shimshon comes from Shemesh, which means sun. Okay,
I never got a recording from you this Tuesday.
no, because I didn't. Okay,
Oh, you didn't?
so yeah,
Okay.
okay, so and then Shemesh means sun,
Ah,
and Delilah Laila night.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
But is to diminish. Okay. So Delilah is the one who diminish the sun.
Right.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Okay. So and it's interesting that Delilah, I always thought she could be Israelite. And because the name of Delilah is not Philistine.
Oh, I always thought she was the Philistine. Wow.
Okay. So uh but this woman obviously is the one who destroyed uh, Shimshon,
Right.
okay, and is the kind of people who 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 really destroy your soul.
Right.
So when I was relating in this portion the part that says the gal get out from Lashon Hara, get far away from dead corpse, okay, that means Delilah. Okay. Delilah was a gossiper. Oh, Shimshon, please tell me, where is the source of your strength? And quickly she went to the Philistines to talk. Okay. So Lashon Hara was very normal for her. Then also she was not a living person. She was a really dead person, even though she was alive. Okay. And God, what is telling us, hey, do not be close to those persons. So, and especially the Nasir. Okay. So, uh, sometimes in my personal life, I have this problem because probably I am from October, and the persons who are from October, we are very close to persons, and we want to hug everybody, and we want to be the friend of everybody. You know, uh, like there is uh it came to my mind Toy Story. Have you seen?
Toy
And you
Story.
see the cow, the cowboy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this cowboy is friend of everyone. Okay,
Yeah, like Samson.
so like Shimshon, yeah, and sometimes like Mauricio because I want to hug
Ah!
everyone. So
Oh,
for me, when God is telling me, "Hey, do not be close," because for some person is more difficult.
yeah.
Sometimes we, in the love that God give us, sometimes we think we can you know
We can trust
we can
everybody.
change, yeah, we can change their mentality,
Yeah.
we can be an influence to that person, but what we are doing is playing with fire
Right.
because that person can destroy us. Okay,
I've been
so
thinking.
many times in my life I made that mistake, and when it's late I finish those relations in not good terms.
Mm,
But probably at the beginning, I had to be obedient to God
right.
to say, okay, I can help you and I can show you love, but do not be close to that person because that person will destroy you.
Right.
Is, you know, is like, remember, and sometimes it's hard. I mean, more in this time of the world. But God, remember what he did with Abraham and his elder son. He needed to take Agar out of his house. So why? Because his son Ishmael was a very bad influence to Isaac.
Right.
So sometimes we are like Isaac. and we have some Ishmael close to us. We don't have to kill Ishmael. We just
No,
need to take distance. Okay.
right,
And
exactly.
that is healthy for Ishmael to grow and for us to grow. Okay.
Right, exactly.
So that is also connected to this portion. Okay. And that everyone counts to God. Probably Manoah was not important person in the whole Torah, but in the whole scripture, he was not really a hero. He was a normal guy, but his name is written.
Right,
So he matters,
right,
even though he was lazy or jealous or ignorant, but matters for God. Okay. So he wrote his name.
wow,
So that is also linked to the first part when he finished the census. And that is the things I wanted to add in this to comment.
that just shows me how much time you sit and take the story and give it life. Like you bring these characters to life. And that's the beautiful application of the Torah, that, that it's stories that we can apply to our lives, and what happens to us when we don't apply his commandments, what can happen to us. That's beautiful. Miriam, do you have anything you want to add? I know you usually have good comments.
I don't think I have great comments today, different from what so much you both been saying so much. And well, again, the idea of the individual being counted, like we live in community and we live for the community, but we don't become absorbed by the community.
Right.
We're individuals, but in a lot of religions, you are absorbed by the community. There's the idea that individuality is an illusion, but really we're all one.
Right.
Even if part of that is true, that we are all one, but that's not what God is saying completely. We are the gift of individuality is so intense. I remember I was so being so involved in the New Age, and
Yeah.
the religions I was looking into talked about again about this idea that it's not the individual that counts. It's we're all one. And I remember meeting this guy, and it was so scary almost. He was trying to deny his individuality, and he was what the result of that was such an intense self-righteousness. He didn't want to show any desire, like for even the peanut butter sandwich. I mean, he was just trying the idea of the ego and the individuality. Anyway, this is much, God is it's so balanced, gives us such a balanced sense of who we are. Our individuality is like beautiful. Each one of us is like, a diamond or a crystal, but
Right.
we exist in community. That's where we function the best.
Exactly. And that we're each so unique. And it doesn't matter what role we're given, even if it's a small one. It has a purpose, like you said, Mauricio, that Manoah had a purpose in his role. Yeah, I remember the New Age almost destroyed me because of that. They destroy roles. They destroy the role of motherhood. They said your children may have been your parent in the last. So it really, you are not a parent. You are just another soul. It was just was so confusing that when I got out of that, I really even didn't know how to think. So I'm so grateful now for the Torah. I cannot believe how blessed I feel for having this book, these stories that can help me learn how to be a mensch, a human being. When I sang yesterday at Maimonides, and they allow me to give a little message from the Torah, and I was talking about how we have the Aaronic benediction, and I was going to sing the song, that Yanet and Alejandro sing, Yivarechecha Adonai vayishmerecha Yair. And then an ultra-Orthodox, a Chassid from, I don't know where he was, he came into the room and he was so nervous because he was bringing his mother in. But I was singing. Wasn't singing that. I was singing another song, and they're not allowed to listen to a woman's voice. So he was,
Really?
oh yeah, they're not allowed to hear a woman. That in case her voice would attract them in some way. So he ran out. He was afraid to be in the room while I was singing, and then he came back in to ask her something, and I stopped singing and I said to him, we're doing the Torah portion, the portion where it has the Birkat HaKohanim. I said, would you be willing to come up and say it for all the people? And he says, "Oh no, I'm not a Kohen. Oh no, I can't say it." And I said, "If you don't say it, I have to say it." And he says, "It's okay, you say it. I'm not allowed to say it." And here he's giving up that privilege as a male to allow a woman to say it. Like they're so mixed up in what.
And yet he couldn't be in the room when you were singing.
Yeah, it's the religion makes you so mashige. You go crazy with all these rules. You don't even know what's right and wrong. And that's what you were talking about. A religious man will make a home crazy. There's too many rules and regulations, and they don't even have to be kind, or or they don't bring what you said, shalom bayit, peace into the home. There's so many women who are so miserable living with religious husbands, and vice versa, really, because God isn't asking us to be religious. And that's the most difficult part for us to get across about who we are in this community. And there's very few other communities. I don't know any like this. I wish I did, because I would love to join with them, because we are truly Shomer Torah. What does that mean? Shomer Torah, guarding, listening to the Torah. How do we apply it to our lives? That's why these messages are so vital for our lives. And I am so grateful to be part of it. Anyway, thank you, Mauricio. That was a wonderful message. And anybody listening to this recording, please read it, go over it, listen, look at the verses, take some time instead of scrolling, instead of watching a movie. It's so easy to watch everything that's going on in the world. But if we take our time to build up our spiritual lives, it'll be so much easier to go through what the world is throwing at us right now. Anyway, thank you again, Mauricio. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Please continue to hold each and every one of us in your prayers. We need it. The world is going crazier and crazier and more. We need to understand that. It's like you said, Mauricio, sometimes I think I have to be a testimony to others, and that I have to keep them in my lives because they're so on the wrong track that just by watching me, they will get it. But that's not what God is asking us. He's asking us, he's the one who raises people from the dead. He's the one who gives life. It's not us. And if our light shines, it's not because of us, it's because of him. And you can't explain that to anyone, because it's not words. These words are empty. They fall on deaf ears. We have to just change ourselves. We can't change anybody else. All these things are very difficult to learn, especially those of us who've gone through Christianity, because in Christianity, they instill in us that you must speak the word of Jesus. You must speak about God to absolutely everybody you meet. You must repeat the names. You must do all these things, or you're going to be held accountable. I was so frightened because of that. I would, walk and look, who can I tell? It was like multi-level marketing. I had to tell everybody about God. And remember, Rabbi always said about me, God, 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 God. But
I remember that.
I know, and I still do it in some way. That's a paradigm I have to change. It's not easy. But anyway, again, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you all next week when we will hear from our beloved Rabbi in Behalotecha when he talks about the lighting of the menorah. All right. God bless you
Thank
all.
you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mauricio.
Thank you, Mauricio.
Thank you.
Shalom, shalom.
Shabbat shalom for everyone.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.